It's your girl Weebo fam, what's up?
How do you pack hundreds of years of racism, sexism, and misogyny into just 4 letters? C-U-C-K.
I honestly did not want to do this, but I'm gonna. For the lulz.
If you've been online recently, you might have noticed the word cuck being thrown around a lot.
If you've been online recently, you might have seen the word alt-right thrown around a lot.
Not to be confused with that male chicken.
Literally no one is confusing cuck with chicken. The fuck? Francesca, get better jokes. You're not funny.
You're a man who identifies as a feminist? Cuck. Don't like Donald Trump? Cuck. Someone who likes a certain MTV web series host that you don't like? Cuck.
I've only ever heard that with relation to being a male feminist. And don't act so high and mighty, Francesca. You've called demographics of people in droves, when you don't like them, racists, since at least 2014. And I have Twitter evidence to back it up. There's probably more, but I lost interest very quickly with that search.
To understand the history of cuck, look no further than its 2 delightfully intertwined components, misogyny and racism.
I honestly think you're trolling because that is a bigger stretch than anything that Plastic Man is capable of.
The key ingredients in America's favorite sandwich. Now, before we get into cuck's modern usage, we have to go all the way back to the innocent cuckoo bird.
What she said there, it's important. Just watch.
Cuckoo birds commonly lay their eggs in other birds' nests and leave them there to be raised. During the Middle Ages, that otherwise benign bird became a symbol for a husband with an unfaithful wife. From cuckoo came cuckold, which literally means a man whose wife has slept with another man and then raises a child who is not his.
Okay, so that's the origin story of the word cuck. Then why are we making this video? Where's the gross and disgusting, offensive part of this? Am I missing something? I might be. I'm running off of 4 hours of sleep right now. So,
long before guys on Reddit got a hold of the phrase, cuckolds were a staple in English literature. Shakespeare loved to use men's fear of becoming a cuckold as a plot point.
It's a pretty terrifying thing, your partner finding someone else to satisfy them and then having that someone else's kid and then you staying to raise that kid despite all of that bullshit that they just put you through. It's not an admirable situation. No one wants to be that guy.
Cuckolds even happen in rap music. Take Kanye West's Gold Digger. 18 years, and on her 18th birthday, he found out it wasn't his. Over time, the shortened version of the word cuck became more common, and that's likely because of 2 of America's favorite pastimes.
Coming up with abbreviated versions of things and making name calling more economical with the time it takes to write and space it takes to write said name calling things. That's the reason we shorten things, right?
Racism and pornography.
Ladies and gentlemen, Francesca Ramsey is about to perform the most incredible feat of mental gymnastics this panel has ever seen. Eyes open, this is going to go down in history books.
Cuckold, or cuck, became used to refer to a genre of porn where husbands, usually white, watch their wives have sex with another man, usually black.
Your Honor, I would like to point out her use of the term usually. It speaks to her disingenuously leading the audience into an ambiguous line of thinking to come to her own preordained, biased conclusions.
I'll allow it.
Not only is she cheating on you, but she's cheating with a man who's perceived as racially inferior.
Did I say that?
But she's cheating with a man who's perceived as racially inferior.
Did anyone say that?
But she's cheating with a man who's perceived as racially inferior.
Who said that, Francesca?
Racially inferior.
You did! Is that what you think, or is that what you think we think? Because either way, that's pretty racist of you.
Racially inferior. But what leads many guys to use the term isn't just its racist undertones, but, surprise, rampant sexism.
Just like that, you're going to sweep under the rug that you think that black people are racially inferior? Francesca, I think we need to have a talk. You're not racially inferior to me, honey. Perhaps a bit on the incorrect side of rationalizing things, but certainly not inferior by any racial standards.
Now, if you really want to know where the modern usage of cuck comes from,
Did Did you not literally just give us a history lesson, Francesca? What?
Cuckoo birds commonly lay their eggs in other birds' nests and leave them there to be raised. During the Middle Ages, that otherwise benign bird became a...
What?
Remember that pickup artist scene from the early 2000s?
No, but I was like in preschool, kindergarten at the time, probably, depending on how early 2000s we talking here.
That mystery guy? I mean, it's better if you don't, but we gotta talk about it. The pickup artist community's main goal was to teach socially awkward men how to lure women using a variety of manipulative techniques.
That's a really obscure reference that you got from this Vox article whose sources are these. Furthermore, within the article, the term cuck and the term pickup artist are pretty far removed from each other, meaning that you had to fill in some pretty hearty gaps. So, forgive me if I don't take your connection all too seriously. And then your other source, Salon, even less helpful because it doesn't even approach the subject of cuck.
So when it comes to men, pickup artists like to divide them into alphas and betas.
When it comes to people, we typically divide them into type A and type B personalities.
An alpha is a guy who totally gets all the sexy desires because his controlling and dominant personality is so attractive to women. That was sarcasm, by the way. Meanwhile, a beta is a guy who's too nice to be an alpha and supposedly is always being used by women and never gets laid. Being taught to respect women is referred to as betafying.
Where did you get this term betafying? Because I can't find it in any of your sources, nor can I find it on Urban Dictionary, which is where I would usually go for common vernacular that I don't understand, which is a lot. But listen, Francesca, I gave you the benefit of the doubt, even though we're not talking about beta, we're talking about cucks. I looked up beta males, and I think you should know something. Common beta traits consist of focusing on what others want them to do, too nice, always searching for perfection, avoids conflict and confrontation, resentful, require hand-holding, passive-aggressive, sensitive and emotional, fake nice, seeks approval from others, hiding mistakes and flaws, not seen as sexual, more comfortable around women than men, the problem solver, represses their feelings, feels guilty, non-masculine, does not put himself first. A lot of that, I'd say, sounds really submissive to me, more than sexist, and to be frank, it has nothing to do with respecting women at all. However, more so, what does that have to do with cuck?
And a beta is also often referred to as, you guessed it, a cuck.
Well, that's right. You think that beta is a synonym for cucks, which means that you think that all betas are cucks. Hey honey, just because all cucks are betas does not mean that all betas are cucks. That's actually rather offensive of you to insinuate. I'm not saying that there's no correlation, because there certainly is. I'm just saying that correlation doesn't equal causation.
Essentially, to call someone a cuck is to imply that they aren't a real or strong man, as if there's only one way to be a man. Oh my god, masculinity is so fragile.
I thought it was toxic. Which is it, Francesca?
In many ways, Trump has become the ideal alpha for many men.
This I can't deny. It happens, but it also happens with all public figures. What exactly are you trying to say?
His ability to succeed not in spite of, but because of his arrogant and sexist behavior.
Are you talking about his success within the business field or within the presidential election setting? Because I would argue that the reason he's successful in the business sense is due to a number of factors. His brand, his cutthroat attitude in business, etc. And we all know why he was successful in the elections. TNC. Letting everyone down.
Is sadly inspirational to them. Okay, great. Moving on. So why do people even like to say cuck so much? Because of power. To call someone a cuck is an attempt to wield power over them.
That can be said of any pejorative. When you're calling someone else a derogatory name, typically it's assumed that you, the name caller, are the one who is not the name you are calling them. But you would know all about this, wouldn't you, Francesca?
It implies they're weak and cowardly, not strong and brave like the person slinging insults from their computer screen. That was also sarcasm. But is it even an effective insult? Maybe.
So I guess I could kind of vaguely see your argument about cuck being derived from sexist ideas if I, squinted and tilted my head and put these around my eyes and then, squinted even more to the point where I couldn't see anything at all, and, if I did that, I might be able to imagine it. I do think you're making a stretch, but racism, you have yet to explain that one to me. But you have about 31 seconds to make your point left in this video, so let's hear it.
If upholding white supremacy and hypermasculinity is important to you. Otherwise, cuck becomes a lot less powerful when you realize its racist and sexist origins.
What? Its origins are derived from a bird. What are you talking about? What can a bird... How can a bird be sexist and racist? That was a joke. That was the only joke. Its origins are found in infidelity, honey, not racism and sexism.
Like most insults, cuck says a lot more about the person using it than the person being called one.
I honestly feel like a professor grading a paper that made some bold thesis, bullshitted around for a little bit, and then reasserted the thesis without actually coming to a point supported by legit facts or studies or anything of intellectual merit. 5 out of 10 on mental gymnastics for a bold liftoff, assertive landing, but an absolute pancake flop in the middle there. Ya done made no point. At all. Help me get through this, Archimedes. Please.